Hello everyone, and I am very happy to have a very dear student with us. He's Dr. Mohith George, a proud Damsonian, and he secured an amazing rank 9 in JIPMER exam. So heartiest congratulations, Mohith. It is an awesome performance.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And how do you feel, Mohith?
Feeling really happy, ma'am. And I always think about sitting here and giving an interview, and now it's possible.
Yeah, right. And Mohith has done really well in the Central Institutes. He's secured rank 79 in PGI as well, right? So which is again an awesome performance, and we're proud of you. And Mohith has been a regular batch student this year at our Kerala Center, Thiruvallai, right? And he's here to share his strategy with you guys. He's been a top ranker in the CBT as well. He was he's the guy who was rank 1 in CBT, right? And he's been a very consistent, hardworking student. And we would take this opportunity to know from him, right, that what exactly has he done to get these amazing ranks, right? And he's a soft-spoken person, so Mohith, you'll have to be a little more loud as well, so that everybody can hear you out, right? And Mohith, I would start with asking you that what do you think is required to get into the Central Institutes in a good rank?
Okay, first of all, you have to plan your studies, because studying all the 19 subjects very thoroughly is practically impossible. So you have to make your own notes. That's the most important thing.
Okay.
So the first thing I did was I am very particular about making the notes, and it should be complete. So during the time of revision, you won't have any difficulty. You can go through the notes and you'll be covering everything. So making notes is the most important thing.
Okay, and also I would like to ask you here that, Mohith, you were in Kerala doing the regular course through the satellite classes. So I really want to ask you, how was your experience with the satellite class? And do you think that the classes were interactive enough? And, do you think that the concept clearing and the integrated teaching was good, and that the set of notes that was provided was optimum for you or not?
Okay. I am attending the regular batch, and I am attending the satellite classes for the very first time.
Okay.
So I thought the face-to-face classes will be more useful. Satellite will be not that good. I had in mind that.
Yeah.
And when I attend the satellite classes, I don't have any difficulty, because it was almost the same thing.
Yes.
And we are able to, if we have any doubts, we can ask through the chat box. There is no issues. And there is not much difficulty for me. It was actually easy for me. We are very relaxed in the class in the satellite, so it was actually easy for me. And the notes are really good, because almost everything asked from my notes itself. So I made some mistakes only because of my anxiety and issues all, and nothing else. And everything was from the notes, and I could say the notes are gold standard. Nothing else.
Right, and you were talking about making the importance of making your own handwritten notes. So what do you think is, or why do you think that is the most important ingredient? Because that's what you said. That.
When I started my regular batch course, first I thought, okay, I borrowed notes from my friends. So after the NEET exam, I borrowed the notes, take the photostat, and I started reading that along with my regular class. I started reading that, and what I felt was, it takes me more time for reading it.
Okay.
Very difficult to retain. Yes. And we are not listening to the teachers. We are just blindly reading the notes, and it is very difficult to correlate, because we are teaching many concepts in the class itself.
That's right.
And every concept we can't write in notes. We have to listen and understand. So it's important to listen to the class, because it's not just about rote learning for this Central Institute exam.
That's
we have
true.
to correlate. So it's very important to listen to the class. So after 1 or 2 weeks, I dropped the plan to read the Xerox copies and started making my own notes. And I thought I will go with the DAMS schedule. And it takes time, but you have to take time and make your own notes, because during the time of revision, it's very important, because my first revision was around 40 days. My second revision was about 30 days. And towards the end of the exam, I was able to do the full 19 subjects revision in 7 days.
Wow.
Because,
so we're going to ask more details on that. Yes, for sure.
Okay, that speedy revision was possible because of my notes, because I know each and every corner of my notes.
That's
so
great.
if I just glance through it itself, I can recollect the things. So that's really important.
Wonderful. I think you've put it out very beautifully, and because you learnt it the hard way, you really knew how to go about it. All right. And also, I would like to ask, for example, your classes were on the weekends.
Yes, ma'am.
So how did you plan your week after the class? Because what you do today is because of what you've done in the long run,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So what you have done in these entire 6-7 months is going to put you where you are,
ma'am.
right? So you have to start doing it right from the beginning.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's not a piecemeal study. So therefore, I really wanted to ask you right from the beginning that how did you go about it, so that we can see the difference in the preparation and the strategy in the beginning of the year as compared to the strategy close to the exams.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So what was your strategy post class for the 1 week that you used to follow?
Okay. The one most important thing I felt was reading for 10 or 15 hours a day or a week is not important. It's even if you read for 10 hours, you have to read consistently for 6 or 7 months. That's the most important. So I made it a point. I read for 15 hours a day. That's my target, and
Wow.
I'm able to achieve that. And I
Okay.
constantly made that. And post class, I'm not able to study anything on Sunday night. I usually get good
Yeah.
sleep. And next day onwards, I make sure that in Monday itself, I read the notes and I revise it. If it's a
Okay.
major subject like Path, Pharma, or OBG, I used to revise it 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
And it's a short subjects, I revise the subjects. And if I have any time left, I used to go back and revise in old subjects, just brush it up. So that's how I did. And subject is that I did in the first revision rather than doing
Doing
in
it with the class.
the class.
Right.
And first revision, because when you do it in the first revision, what I felt was we are able to recollect more things. We are trying to recollect more things, and I added to the notes because SVT contains high yielding points and
Yes.
some extra stuff. So if you do the SVTs towards the end, you will be ending up with more new information towards the end of the exam, which will be very difficult towards the end of the exam. So try to do SVT to the early phase so that you can revise the extra points towards the end of the exam.
Okay, right. Also, I would want to ask you that, for the regular batch students, the DQB is available as an online source as well as a hard copy, right? So, what kind of a student were you? Hard copy type?
I'm a hard copy type. I like
Hard
that.
copy type. I could make that out. So now comes the point. So with the classes, were you doing the question bank, the DQB as well? And because we've made it into smaller segments, topic wise division. So was it convenient enough to go along with the class?
Yes, ma'am. It is very convenient rather than chapter wise or subject wise. If it is a topic wise, we can revise a topic and go
Yes.
through the DQB, and if any extra points, we can add to it.
And were you bookmarking the questions side by side as well?
Rather than bookmarking, if I find any extra information, I add to the notes because
Okay.
I find it difficult to go back to the DQB because if it's in note itself, I can revise it.
Because you wanted to keep one source.
One source because
Right.
towards the end of the exam, we'll be in a hurry and if we have everything in one notes, we can easily revise rather than 3 or 4 books.
Okay.
We are going to each book will be difficult, and if it is a very long explanation, we find it very difficult to add. Then I will bookmark.
Okay. Also, I would want to ask, just to see how religiously one should study, I want to really know, did you do the class test after the subject got over? So you're provided with a class test paper after we finished the subject in the class. So did you do it religiously?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So post class you used to manage doing the class test as well.
But many class tests I did during the last month of the examination because
Okay.
it's like a revision only because
Yes, yes.
class test contains most of the things from the notes
That's
itself.
true.
Even if you read the notes 1 or 2 times, you tend to miss things from the notes, and the notes is very precise. It contains only the high information
Yes.
and not any other thing. So even if you miss one thing, it will be very important. So if you do the class test, you can get those missed information, and so you can point out, mark it and you can revise it again.
Okay. And now I also want to ask you, when did you start practicing grand tests?
Okay, that's one point. I started practicing grand tests very late
Okay.
because ma'am also used to tell start grand tests as early as possible. My friends who did well in the previous year also, they used to tell start grand tests as early as possible.
Right.
But I did do that because I'm afraid if I got a bad rank, what will do.
Okay.
And I started in June, July.
Okay.
Because I started
So
in
middle
November.
of the year.
Yeah, I started in November. I didn't do any grand tests because. But one thing I could say that doing grand tests is some utmost thing you can do because it is like even if in an exam you are 300 questions, you will be don't know any some of the questions, and
Yes.
but you have some idea about it.
That's
So
right.
you'll be getting the art of doing the MCQs. You'll be able to rule out options, and that you can get only from doing a grand test. That without pausing. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, because you need to have a habit of sitting for 3
Yes, ma'am.
hours.
Initially, I was get very tired after 2 hours, so I can't concentrate towards the end. But after doing 3 or 4 grand tests, I was able to concentrate with 3.5 hours. That's really important.
That's great. And what about the video discussions? Do you think they're high yielding?
Yes, ma'am. It's really, especially the subjects you are weak at. You
Okay.
have to go and watch the videos, and you have to analyze the grand test where you are making mistakes, which subject you are making more mistakes. And if you are short of time, at least watch the videos of subjects which are weak at, and note the point in extra info you get. You have to add to the notes.
Great. And now, Mohit, I would really want to ask you, did you make a timeline for yourself that these are my endpoints? I'm going to finish this by this time and this by this time. So what were your timelines and how did you sort of achieve that?
Okay, I used to split the topics. First
Okay.
of all, after the class, if I have 1 week in front, I used to decide, okay, I have to do the subjects one time or maybe 2 times. So okay, then I divide, okay, 3 days for the subjects, and then I divide the day by day. And in the day itself, before the going for the next day, and the night itself, I made the point which are the subjects should be covered the next day.
Okay.
And in the morning also, I divide it into 2 or 3 parts, so I don't feel it so lengthy. And I'm able to 90% of the times I'm able to cover that topics.
Okay, that's great. And then I want to ask you, a lot of students would ask you probably that question as well, that did you study subject wise or did you study topic wise? For example, if you're reading a topic from, let's say in medicine, did you go to that topic from anatomy and physiology, or was it concentrating on medicine because this is the medicine week?
Okay, initially I did subject wise.
Okay.
And once I covered most of the subjects, then I started doing topic wise, because if you are complete most of the subjects, then you can, like for example, if I started anatomy, rather than reading the anatomy whole of the subject, I did, suppose I do an ENT today, then I am reading head and neck from the anatomy. Then like that, from surgery GIT, then I can correlate anatomy.
Yes, I think that makes a lot more sense, because what he's saying is that he used to divide it once he was thorough with these subjects for revision aspect, because anyways otherwise if you have to read long big subjects at a stretch, they become very volatile, and you can't give that much attention. So
Also
yes,
during the exam, for the clinical subjects, they are correlating, for example, medicine,
Yes.
skin, like patho, they will correlating. So
That's
if you do that way, it will be easy.
that's great. All right. And then when did you finish your first reading of the notes?
Along with the class, at the course, I finished the notes.
Okay.
I didn't anything look back.
Okay.
I complete everything on time.
Wonderful.
And our course completed. I joined in November, so course completed by about September first week.
Okay.
And but I started revision by August itself.
So now that's what I want to ask you, that you started your revision in August. I really want to know how you went forward in for your revision. So did you have some number of days that you specified for subjects, or how exactly did you plan the revision?
Okay, in the last month, the only subjects that was left were OBG and anesthesia. Everything
Okay.
was over. So I thought I should start earlier, because EM6 exam was coming. So I should start earlier, and I started in August itself. So I thought in the first revision I should give enough time rather than going very fast.
Okay.
And I gave
Yes,
about
absolutely.
30 to 40 days for the first revision.
Okay.
And first I divide by weeks. For example, in the first week I do the first year subjects, and from the week also I divide it into 2 or 3 parts, where I do anatomy, physio, biochem, like that. And the first revision, and each subject I completed reading, I do the SVT, then
Okay.
I analyze it, add the extra points, then I again revise one more time. So likewise
Okay, wonderful. So you included the SWTs in the first revision
revision,
itself.
yes,
All right. And whatever extra points you had to know, you
Add to
added them to the notes again. Right. And, did you mark some number of days that you'll finish medicine in this much time and surgery in this much time, or obs and gynae in this much time?
yes ma'am, I do mark.
Okay.
And I try to complete most of it.
So how do you divide? If somebody is asking you that, how should they divide the big subjects and the medium ones and then the short ones? So
It depends on the person. I am a fast reader.
Okay.
Some people used to read very thoroughly, but 1 or 2 times able to retain many things. But I used to read fast by multiple times. That was
Okay.
able to retain more. So I used to read medicine. The first time I used to read in 3 days.
Okay.
Then I
And it was
do-
just your notes.
no, just notes.
Right.
And I try to do it 1 or 2 times. So
Okay.
I'm able to familiarize with the notes.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly, surgery and OBG also I used to divide for 3 days. But one thing I did was, initially was 3 days, but next revision I tried to make a point that you should not go beyond 3 days. It had to be less than 3 days.
Wonderful. Yes.
So you will be able to reduce the number of days of your revisions gradually. If you are doing your revision very fast in the first time, you will be ended up again. And the problem is you will need the same number of times in the future also. So first revision was 40 days, then the second revision was 30, and gradually I was able to reduce the time.
So with every subsequent revision, you were reducing the time that you were taking. That is, I think, it's the utmost important
Yes,
thing.
if you are taking more time from the previous revision, that means you are not able to
Recall. And I think it's not really a revision then. You're probably rereading it exactly in the same way. Right. And also, I would want to ask then, did you keep CBT as your target to revise, or DVT as your target to revise?
Yes, ma'am, of course. I completed my first revision, and I completed the second revision before the CBT.
Okay.
And then I attended the DVT.
Okay.
And it was really helpful because I completed almost 2 readings, and I attended the DVT. It was really helpful. It's like a teachers teaching you everything which you already know.
Yes.
It's very easy to recollect.
And the most high yielding things from every
ma'am,
place.
most high yielding. And then in the 3 or 4 days remaining, I just glanced through the notes and gave the CBT.
Okay. And you did really well.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And what was your strategy post CBT?
Post CBT, I go through the solutions.
Okay.
And I check the subjects weak at and making more mistakes.
Okay.
Initially, I target that subjects and read through the notes.
Okay.
Then again, I do the revision 1 or 2 times before the AIMS exam.
All right. That's great. Okay. And now I would want to ask, let's say a month before the exam, yes, or 15 days before the exam, the central institutes, how did you plan that up?
Okay, before the central institute, try to divide. If you are taking 1 month, try to divide it into different times. I used to divide 1 month. I used to divide in two. First 2 weeks and last 2 weeks.
Okay.
The first 2 weeks I used to go through the notes.
Okay.
Then the next 2 weeks, the first week I go through the whole high yielding points or any mistake I did in the grand test. And the last week mostly only the very high yielding points like through the AIMS capsule,
Okay.
DVT sessions.
So you kept them towards the later part,
Later part.
close to the exam.
Because if you do the subject-wise revision towards the later part, on the day of exam you will be fresh with the subjects you read 1 or 2 days before.
Yes, yes.
But if you watch the DVT or AIMS capsule 1 or 2 days before, all the subjects will be fresh in your mind.
Yeah, that's very good strategy. Wonderful. And then, I would want to also ask you that you've done very well in all these central institutes, right? So something special that you would want to tell the students, if they have to get a good rank in the central institutes, maybe something related to the subject distribution or something related to the strategy of giving the exam.
Okay, the most important thing I felt was your basics should be strong, that is first and second years. I'm not a kind of person, I didn't read any standard textbooks or Robbins like that, unlike many others. And I find it always difficult during my entrance preparation.
Okay.
But I am able to cope up with that mostly because of the notes. Because when I listen to the class, I'm very aware that I don't read the Robbins. So I have to be very careful when I listen to the class for pathology.
Okay.
So when I make notes, I'm very particular about that. And any new information I get, I add to the notes.
Right.
And I did multiple revisions. I don't know, maybe pathology I almost read 10 times the notes.
Wow. Okay. So instead of increasing the bulk,
Yes, ma'am.
you increase the number of times of the same material that you had.
Yes,
So you
ma'am.
just read the notes, and like he said, he read pathology class notes 10 times. So this is also very important, and we've been like sort of stressing on it, that instead of increasing the material, it is what you already have. How much do you know that by heart, right?
ma'am.
So multiple revisions is always useful, provided yes, your material that you have is high yielding.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Because practically it is not practical to read everything for the 19 subjects. So
Yeah.
if you know everything from the notes, you won't miss any question from the notes. Because any question coming outright from the notes will be difficult for everyone. So it won't be rank deciding.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake from a question from your notes, it it will be disastrous.
Right. So be thorough with what you have and
ma'am.
revise multiple times. That's a wonderful piece of advice. And now, Mohit, something that you can tell us about the JIPMER exam, something that you have once you've given the exam and you've done really well, that you would want to tell others that they should know that this is how JIPMER exam is and this is how your approach should be.
Okay. Uh,
As well as how different are JIPMER and PGI and AIMS and anything specific to each of these that you would want to comment on.
I attended JIPMER for the first time
Yeah.
because in the previous two, in the November and the mid-year also, I applied for, but I didn't attend the exam.
Okay.
Because everyone used to tell the JIPMER exam is very difficult. They
It
used
is.
to,
As compared to AIMS and PGI, yes, the level is higher.
higher, and they used to have so many genes and extra stuff also.
Yeah.
And in this year's exam, it was comparatively easier.
Yes, it was.
Most of the thing from the notes, I could say out of the 250 questions, about 240 will be from the notes itself. 240, 245 will be the notes itself. And one mistake I did was I have in mind that JIPMER will be difficult, so I have to read some extra stuff for an extra edge.
Okay.
I tried to read that.
Okay.
And after the exam, I felt, oh, I should be revising the notes itself. It
Yeah.
will be more useful.
Yeah.
And the same with PG and AIMS also. I could say AIMS and PG completely from the notes. JIPMER also almost from the notes this time. And concentrate on the basic subjects, especially first and second year subjects for a Central Institute exam. It is not difficult if you read properly the notes. It will be easy because pattern all I'm very afraid of it. But after completing the notes, mostly I'm able to do the basic subjects. So if the basics is strong,
Yeah.
most of the clinical subjects also you can do that.
Because it is all integrated, yes, and it is applied. That's wonderful. And now let's ask, did you give any preference to any subjects before the exam?
Yes, depending on the exam, I give preference.
Okay.
For example, JIPMER and all, I give preference to patho and the basic subjects towards the end of the exam, rather
Okay.
than concentrate more on the clinical subjects.
Right.
And for AIMS also, the emergency medicine.
Okay. Did you see the course on e-medicals?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Even though my rank was 165, I should say emergency medicine was really helpful because I watched the emergency medicine and make a short note because it's not possible to make a very big note before the exam.
Yeah.
So make a short note, and many questions are direct one-liners from it.
Okay, that's great, right? And now finally, anything that you should say? Although you have mentioned already that close to the exam you did DVT and AIMS capsule, which was like faster revision, right? But any other special advice just a day or two before the exam?
One thing was sleep well because that's one thing I lacked, and it was counterproductive at the end of the exam. And don't think about what after the exam, what will happen
Yes.
if you don't do well, because that will be also very a problem because when you do the exam and when you attend each question you have mind, okay, if I do it wrong, what will happen, what will be the result. So don't think about that, just do it, you will be doing good. That's it, don't think about the exam.
That's very important. Yes, don't think of the outcome, and just think that you're going to do your best, and rest will follow, I shall say. Yes.
Because even if you are if there's multiple exams, you have 3 Central Institute exam, you have NEET exam. So if you are not doing good in one exam, you will definitely doing good in another exam.
Yes, and I think we should give all exams because we have to take every exam as a new opportunity, which is going to give you lots of scope and possibilities as well. So take every exam, whether it is a CBT as well, or you have to take it. See, if you keep thinking that something wrong will happen and be scared, then you're losing on the opportunity as well.
My biggest dream was to get into AIMS. So I prepared very well for AIMS, but getting 165 is not able to get the branch I like.
I know.
So after AIMS, I was totally devastated and sad, and I thought, okay, I should not be giving PG or JIPMER. There's no point in giving that because getting 165, there'll be same result. So no point in giving that.
And then
I thought, okay.
And then what pushed you to give the exams?
My parents told me, you have been working so hard for 1 year.
Yeah.
You will definitely get the result one day. So don't get sad by one result. You will definitely get the result. So that's the one thing I should tell everyone, because if you work hard sincerely, you will get the result one day.
Yes.
So don't, because one exam will be difficult for you because of the day of the exam.
Yes.
So it will be difficult for you. So you have to attend every exam. Success will follow you.
Yes, very, very rightly said that you have to see the opportunities in front of you rather than be scared of them. Yes, that's wonderful. And anything motivating that you want to say, or maybe first I should ask you, if some junior asks you, Mohit, what are the three most important ingredients to secure a good rank in the central institutes? What would those three things be?
First one is hard work, because there is nothing can substitute the hard work. Because the very first class I attended was Deepak Arora sir's class, and sir said one thing, because you won't feel any anxiety or tension towards the early phase of preparation. Because
Yes.
I joined November 1 year ahead, you won't feel any anxiety or tension now. Because when you approach the exam towards the next year, November, December, you will be in a lot of anxiety, and only thing that supports you will be like, your thought like, okay, I did well in the 1 year. I didn't. I have not thought like, oh, I should have done that. I
Yes.
didn't do that. Such a regret should not be there. So even if
Right.
you didn't get a good rank, it's no problem. You did your best. So you should not have any regret. You should have the hard work. Second thing I felt was consistency, because many of my relatives told me, okay, spending one more year will be like, it will be difficult because you can get out of track many of times. So
Yeah.
I made a point that I should not go out of track throughout the 1 year. I
Yeah.
did not any attend any functions or anything, because I sit and study for the 1 year, because this 1 year is so important for me. So you
Yes.
should
So
not
giving
go.
up some things to gain something
Yes,
else,
ma'am.
right? So
And you should
yes,
be
I
consistent.
think rather than saying that you give up on something, we should put it like you should have the priorities set right,
Yes, ma'am.
and different things become different priorities as you move ahead in life. So if this is the phase of your life where you're preparing for exams, I think you should keep that as
Yes,
priority.
ma'am.
Yes, and that's about it. And then things change, and you move to the other side, and you move ahead in life, and then you set your priorities right. So you do that, and
Yes.
yes, it turns out to be really, really
Yes.
important. I totally agree on that.
Ma'am.
That's wonderful. And what branch do you want to pursue, Mohit?
I'm interested in radiology. If
Okay.
not, my second option will be medicine.
That's wonderful. And I'm sure you're going to do very, very well in whatever branch you pursue. And it was an absolute pleasure to have you here. And you are a very, very hardworking student. And you've done exceedingly well. And I'm sure that you're going to rock it in NEET exam as well. And hope you do amazingly well. And you're here again with us, right? Let's keep fingers crossed, and let's wish you all the very best
Thank you.
for your counseling process as well. And may you have a very bright future ahead.
Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much, Mohit. Thank you.